Hi, this is Magda from the Wnętrza channel. Today I'll tour a 78 M2 apartment for a family of 3 in a tenement house in Poznań. The character of this interior is greatly influenced by colors, original woodwork, and second-hand items. Hi, I'm Karolina. Today we'll show you my apartment in Poznań's Wilda district. We've been living here since March 2022 with my husband, our little daughter, and our cat Zawisha. Our apartment is in a constant state of being arranged, and I've stopped fooling myself that this process will ever end. Because the moment I finish one idea, I already have another one in my head, which is about a different room or something else. Sometimes these are small changes, like moving a plant, hanging a shelf, or moving a picture. And sometimes they're pretty big changes, like putting up wallpaper, repainting a wall, or rearranging the furniture. So here, it's like we've been in a constant process of decorating from the very beginning. And to sum up, this process will keep going all the time. We start, as usual, at the entrance, and right away we have a coat rack with a shelf where you can put something down, and the hooks themselves are movable. On this side there are boxes embedded in the wall that haven't been hidden, but quite the opposite. There's a distinctive sign here that further emphasizes that we're in the apartment of electricians. On the wall, we have a beautiful wallpaper that wasn't there at first. But sometimes when you see something beautiful in a store, it's love at first sight and your plans just change. And that's a good thing. Patterned wallpaper is a great choice for any hallway or corridor where not much is really happening. Normally we can put in a wardrobe. There's not much space for many pieces of furniture, and that's when a beautiful pattern like this can bring life to the room. This large 5-door wardrobe is a shallow pax. However, don't look for these fronts in the store because they were repainted by Karolina. So if you dream of a unique wardrobe color, remember that you can repaint it too. And really, when it comes to choosing a color, nothing is limiting you. And here inside, we have shelves for shoes and handbags. And here in this part, which is a double wardrobe, a hole was cut in the back to use the niche that's behind the wardrobe. And thanks to that, there's more space here for equipment. In the second part of the hallway, there's the entrance to the daughter's room, which is still being created, so we won't be looking inside. Here's the entrance to the bathroom. We'll take a look at it at the end. Here is the living room with the kitchen, and here, closest to the entrance, is the bedroom, where the little one still reigns. As for the floors, we didn't know what was underneath because here in the bedroom and hallway there was linoleum on the floor, and here in the living room there were panels laid over the entire area. And only after buying the apartment, when we started to check what was underneath and how everything looked, it turned out that under the linoleum there was a fiberboard nailed down. There were a lot of those nails and we had to pull each one out individually, but underneath there were boards which turned out to be in good condition. We knew we could restore that floor. We were already happy, we were already rejoicing, and then we got to dismantling the floor in the living room. In the living room, things weren't so great because it turned out there were 8 layers of flooring there. When we removed the panels, under the panels we found an oriented strand board. Under the oriented strand board, there were 2 layers of styrofoam glued together with tile adhesive. Under that there was foam, you know, that underlayment for panels, and under that there were still 2 layers of linoleum. Beneath the linoleum, a thin oriented strand board was also nailed down, and only under that were the boards, which had also been painted with several layers of paint over the years. So the shock here was huge, especially since we spent a solid 2 weeks removing that floor because there was just so much of it, and the amount of trash that came out of this floor was overwhelming. What else we found out was that the previous owners, in order for the doors to close with all these layers here, had cut the doors at the bottom to match the level of the floor. At the moment when that floor was removed, the gap under the door was so big that I could fit my whole arm up to the elbow through it, and there was no problem getting it through. So you can imagine how big it was. But we had another door here because there was a passage between the living room and the bedroom, and we closed off that passage. As a result, we had an extra door left, and it turned out we could use it here, so those trimmed, shorter doors were sold. Someone simply took them from us, and here we installed the doors that were previously in the passage between the living room and the bedroom. And that's how we managed to save and keep those extra doors without having to glue any strips to the bottom or anything like that. So we were just lucky here, I would say, that we simply had spare doors that we could use.
The living room with the kitchen is 28 square meters. Let's first take a look at the kitchen area here. Above the stove, the hood is hidden in the cabinet. And notice that this cabinet is shorter than the others, so that it's more convenient for cooking. This is especially important for tall people, because if there was still cabinetry here, it would be hard to see into the pots on the back burners. And while we're at the stove, notice that it's wider and has not 4 but 5 burners. Underneath are large, spacious drawers. This was possible because the oven was built into a tall cabinet together with the microwave. And here, look, we have a dishwasher, a sink, and above the sink, a drying rack hidden in a cabinet so that the dishes aren't left out in the open. Here, on the other hand, next to it we have a corner cabinet, which is only accessible from this side. So to get to the back and not have to take everything out one by one, the products have been arranged in baskets. This lets us remove them easily and access everything. So what's access like now?
Kitku? Our table arrived together with the chairs as a set. For many, many years before, it stood at my husband's grandparents' house. The table has remained unchanged, just as it was since the time of the Polish People's Republic, and it still looks the same to this day, preserved in wonderful condition. However, the chairs needed to be restored, so we decided to go a little wild with them and make them colorful in a way that's a bit unexpected. We painted and refreshed the chair frames ourselves, but the backrests, all the upholstery and the inside were replaced by a professional. I only chose the fabric that you can see here. These chairs are my favorite piece of furniture in this house. Whenever I come in here and see them in these colors, I always smile right away, and I really love them here. And everyone who comes in and sees them also has a nice reaction, like it's something different, something original. Although I can't say that when I talked about my idea before making it, some people thought I was crazy, like what am I even coming up with and what do I want to do here? But the final result really impressed them. I really didn't want to have bare light bulbs sticking out of the ceiling because it just didn't feel homey to me. So without thinking much, I went to a flea market to see what I could find there. It turned out to be a perfect idea because I could buy lampshades for next to nothing, and we just bought a cord with a socket so we could hang them up and have them light up. The fixtures you can see here cost me 2 zlotys each, and after that interior design success, everything just snowballed from there. We also have a second-hand chandelier in the living room, fixtures in the hallway, and fixtures in the bathroom. So basically, most of the fixtures we have in the apartment are second-hand fixtures, from flea markets bought for next to nothing.
Next to the fridge, there's a freestanding shelf which holds not only decorations like plants or books, because books can also be decorations, but also boxes with art supplies. And this way of storing art supplies is very convenient, because you just take a box, put it on the table, and you have everything right there. Then, when you're done, you put everything back in the box, and with one move, you can put it back in its place. And when it's easy to reach for paints or crayons, it's also easier to motivate yourself to use them, and that's really a super relaxing way to spend your time. Here, above the green sofa, there are many frames on the blue wall, and directly opposite, we also have a gallery of various works, underneath which there is a yellow wainscoting. So as you can see, every corner has its own individual color character, and yet they all go well together. There is also a suitable space in the living room for the smallest member of the household. We have various beds and scratching posts here, and I especially like this little shelf that lets you observe the cat lying down from below.
As for the balcony floor, there was only a concrete screed here, which was already quite cracked. Moss was growing in it, and there was some soil inside. We started by cleaning all of that up. My husband sealed all the cracks that were here, as well as leveled the entire balcony surface. Only then did we apply 2 layers of polyurethane resin, which hardened the surface and also made it waterproof. So the rain that falls here and the water that pours down doesn't seep inside, but rather stays on the outside. And only after that did we install this modular floor here, which we bought at IKEA.
In the bathroom, the challenge was the popular dilemma, bathtub or shower, and of course we managed to reconcile it. We have both a bathtub and a shower. You just need to move the faucet to the side and unfold the shower screen, which, when extended, will cover up to 2/3 of the bathtub and protect the bathroom well. And when we want to take a relaxing bath, we just fold it up and change the lighting to something more atmospheric.
The bathroom was the first room I planned. When I first walked in here, I immediately knew what would go where and how everything would look, including the type of tiles and the color of the wall. The guys from the renovation crew who painted these walls couldn't believe that these walls and this color would be in this bathroom. They confirmed with me 3 times that they should paint the bathroom this color. After I said yes, they even asked if my husband knew about the color choice. Of course he knew, because we chose the colors together and bought the paint together. However, here it actually caused some controversy, like how could the bathroom be so dark? But then, after the men finished painting the bathroom and everything came together, they admitted I was right, that it really looks very good here, especially when it comes to the accessories. So once, in some ad on my phone, I saw a poster with a roll of paper, a drawing from the toilet paper patent, and I thought it would fit perfectly here. And it also settles all disputes about which way the toilet paper should hang. If it's drawn like this on the patent, that's how it must be. If anyone doubts, it's right behind us and clearly visible. As for the renovation costs, the entire budget we had planned for the renovation included furnishing the apartment and all the appliances. It was 120,000 Polish zloty. We planned this budget in the fall of 2021, and back then everything was supposed to fit nicely within it, but you know how it is with budgets. Then there was a price boom. It was at the turn of 2021 and 2022, and the prices just started rising at such an alarming rate that we couldn't believe it ourselves. We kept up with prices then. And here's the best example of that. The price of the faucet we wanted to buy for the bathroom increased from 500 zloty to 700 zloty in just 3 days. It was the same with the rain shower we planned to buy. If at the end of December it cost 1,500 zloty, then right after New Year's, as if that magical New Year's threshold was crossed, the price jumped to 2,000 zloty. So for us, who had to buy all the furnishings for the apartment, these price changes just made our budget go way off track. And so it was necessary to figure out how to make everything work so that we could move in here and finish the apartment. And it just ended up that month by month we kept adding the missing amounts and just bought individual things or appliances as we went along. And we also tried really hard to look for promotions like discount codes or special deals in stores so we could take advantage of as many promotions as possible so that our budget would balance out as much as possible.
That's it for the video. Instagram links are in the description. And just a reminder, we have over 200 interior design videos on our channel, so if you're looking for inspiration, you're in the right place. See you next time. Bye.